San Francisco 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan was asked today about impending free agents Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga, who will be hitting the open market at the end of the season. And he was asked about what their futures will look like and if the San Francisco 49ers plan on retaining them or bringing them back on contract extensions. And Kyle Shanahan's response was, quote, hopefully we do everything we can to keep them here. So let's break down the quote. No definitive language, however, optimistic. So it's always important when you are listening to decision makers like head coach, general managers, and talking about players who are either heading into contract negotiations or player acquisition. It's the definitive language that we always pay attention to. So we do recognize it's an optimistic tone wanting both these guys back. However, we do know once it gets into kind of contract negotiation time, that's in a different level of what Kyle is really concerned with. Now, obviously, Kyle does have his say, and he does carry a lot of weight. You know, we've seen, you go back to the Brandon Ayuk situation and the story of, BA coming in saying he's going to accept the deal, and Kyle's having to run upstairs to get the guys off the phone with the Steelers who are about to trade Brandon Ayuk, and he has got to hang up on them. And so Kyle definitely has influence here in what the 49ers do contractually. But it is, just like I mentioned, what he said is more optimistic tone than actually definitive tone. So I think Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga are important pieces to the San Francisco 49ers defense. And I think that was on full display with Dre Greenlaw and his return. The entire fan base loves him. And on top of that, his teammates love him. And when you look at his impact, it was crystal clear how he energized the entire group of some really talented defensive players like Fred Warner and Diamador Lenore and Nick Bosa. So it's great that we heard what he said, but I am hopeful that they bring Dre Greenlaw back. I think we've seen that it's been a challenge for them to have anyone come close to Dre Greenlaw's status. As you know, again, he was a 5th round draft pick too. So the 49ers hit on him, and they've tried to get guys like D Winters and Jalen Graham. They bring in Devondre Campbell. They've had guys like Curtis Robinson and Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, and just really haven't been able to hit on anyone that really resembles what Dre Greenlaw provides. There are guys with upside, but Dre is he's one of the best linebackers in the league. And for many reasons, with the violence he plays, the energy he plays, his speed, all of it. So I don't know what that contract would look like, but I do hope that the 49ers are serious in considering bringing back Dre Greenlaw. I just don't think the defense is the same without him. So in regards to Talanoa Hufanga, a lot of people have had mixed opinions about Talanoa Hufanga, but I think what changed is when he finally got back. And keep in mind, he's had 2 stints of coming back. His first game returning from the ACL, he got injured again. And then that knocked him out for multiple weeks. So Talanoa Hufanga in his first game back wasn't necessarily super sharp. And I think you can attribute that to he's coming back from an ACL injury, opposed to being out for multiple weeks with a wrist injury where you can still work your legs, you can still run, you can still do drills, you can still work on the knee and get the knee stronger. And so I think that's why when he returned from the wrist injury, he looked completely different. He looked like a guy who was actually ready to go, fully back and healed from the knee injury. Just like we saw with Christian McCaffrey, he was ready to go, but you saw it took about a month for him to get his legs back. think it was a similar situation with Talanoa. So what I've seen from Talanoa is a guy that resembles everything that we have come to know from him. I talked about it before, watching him in his first game back, just seeing how instantly his communication um, dispersed to the rest of the secondary and how clearly in tune he was with everything. And again, that's one of his best traits is his mind and how he sees it. So I would love Talanoa Hufanga back. I'm curious at what number these two will demand. I know Talanoa Hufanga was an all-pro, but, coming back from 2 injuries, and same thing with Dre, coming back from injury, I am wondering if we can get a little, well, you scratch, my back, I'll scratch your back. We work out deals that are beneficial to the player and beneficial to the team, so we don't overextend ourselves and we can't add elsewhere. That's kind of my hope. And with both of them coming off pretty serious injuries, and we, as we know, you don't really know kind of like the shelf life at post injury and stuff like that. Things happen. So I don't think that when we talk about these conversations and contracts, I don't necessarily look at both of these guys right now as top of market players based solely on them coming back from injury. I think that kind of changes the conversation. Obviously, if they were healthy and playing all season, we're having different conversations, but that's just not the circumstance. So I'm hopeful that, maybe because of the injuries, it actually puts both sides in a more manageable position to get something done. Because let's face it, we have a starter in Malik Mustafa. He will be the starter next year, but we clearly need someone next to Malik. And Jair Brown hasn't proven to be that guy yet. So we feel much more comfortable with Talanoa Hufanga. Now, he's a 5th-round draft pick too. Maybe the 49ers try to do what they did with Malik and they go into the draft, try to sign someone that way and backfill that spot, or go into free agency and sign someone else on a cheaper deal. But they also, kind of went out and got George Odom. George Odom has just been a special teams guy. He's never been able to really make an impact as a starter. So that's kind of like a cost-effective safety that had upside, but never was really able to do anything in the starting lineup. So you wonder if they try to do something like that again or target a different safety potentially. So I think both things apply with these players. Is they both proven that they significantly help the 49ers defense. And I think that's been abundantly clear. Um, both are coming off very serious injuries and missed a lot of time this year. So, again, I think I'm hopeful that that actually lends itself to getting something done. Whereas opposed to them being healthy all year, having no health concerns, and both of them putting up all pro seasons, then I would be less optimistic about their return because they would be at top of market. Whereas, as we've explained, might soften the blow a little bit. So we'll see what the outcome is with these two. And of course, other free agents on the team that will be discussed heavily in the offseason. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you think the 49ers should bring these guys back? And what do you think maybe that deal would look like bringing them back? And I want to hear from you in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.